You set the gold standard for your business. Your website should do the same. Wix puts you at the helm so you can enjoy the creative freedom of designing your site just the way you want. Want someone to bounce your ideas off? Talk with AI to create a beautiful site together. Whatever your business, manage it from one place and tie it all together with a personalized domain name. Gear up for success with a brand that says you best. You can do it yourself on Wix.
This country was built on a distinctly American work ethic, but today, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries, and with that, we sent away good jobs and diminished our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make a variety of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more. All made right here in the USA, from growing the cotton and adding the final touches. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs for seamsters, cutters, and factory workers in towns and cities across the United States. And it's about more than an income. Jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 3. It is VSiN By The Books. I'm Dave Ross here at Circus Sports Fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. He is our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to go northeast from you to New York City. Is that correct? Is my geography right to get to the city?
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it. Yep.
I only lived in New York. I should know this stuff by now. I'm going to welcome back to the program. Always love catching up with Sean Little. Give him a follow as I do on X at Chicago Flow. Joins us here in the Progressive Guest Line. Sean, great to have you back. I did not know that we would be talking right now about the potential of a Knicks closeout in Game 5 tonight up there in Boston. It feels like, man, you see the images of what's going on in New York City, how the Knicks just take over that town. What will it be like in New York tonight if they get it done in Boston?
Yeah, it's sweeter because it's against the Boston Celtics. I mean, it's truly a side that the New Yorkers do not like. And depending on who you ask, I guess, a lot of people believed they could be here 3-1 if they're actually core Knicks fans. But as a betting guy, as a guy that's backing takes by dollars, just like you fellas, there was absolutely no way I could find the Knicks here up 3-1, getting it done, or with a shot to get it done in Boston. If they do get it done, it just means that all the moves and giving Jalen Brunson the $100 million when no one else wanted to, giving his father a seat on the bench to coach when maybe others wouldn't have done that. It is all being paid off right now with the shot to make the Eastern Conference Finals. And right now, as we sit here, fellas, the favorites to win the East.
I guess, Sean, we should have known when we found out the Pope was a Villanova grad that everyone was just going to jump on the Knicks no matter what. Divine intervention, as some have called it. Let's before we jump off and kind of assess what happened with Indiana and Cleveland. Your thoughts on where the Celtics go from here? Win, lose, no matter what happens, they will have to address the Jason Tatum situation this offseason and into next season. Is it a blow-up scenario for you, or because the East could have such a facelift, also knowing what dominoes could fall with Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Cavaliers have their own questions to answer internally with the core four. How do you size up the offseason for the East, and in particular with Boston?
Yeah, it's really tough, fellas. You know, I try not to get too far out in the future, especially when we're in the thick of the playoff race. I tend to not look into futures markets till they pop up on the board, but they have a lot of decisions that they need to make. You know, Al Horford, they went from potentially – there was at DraftKings before the season and during the season – they were hanging a number, will there be a three-peat champion? And they were talking about the Boston Celtics. And the number was shorter than 10-1. It was like 8-1 for a vast majority of the year. So they went from potentially, winning 3 championships in a row, pushing for 2, to now figuring out what they want to do. Get well soon to Jason Tatum, and I hope, that takes care of itself and he's back as good as he can be, just like Kevin Durant. Same to Dame Lillard and those guys. But they have a lot of decisions to be made. Can Jaylen Brown be that 1A guy? I guess we'll find out come next year if he's around. Drew Holiday, Al Horford, they have a lot of decisions to be made. I don't think you should blow it up because, they have enough talent to stay afloat and compete. They're going to be hurting, obviously, without Jason Tatum, but retool is the word because they have enough talent. But they're pushing $500 million on the books come next year. So this first year of the $300 million deal plus for Jason Tatum starts next year. So a lot of money on the books, new ownership. They're going to have to make some decisions. Maneuver, not so much blow up.
Sean, very quickly, you mentioned the Knicks being the betting favorite now to win the East, and Indiana's going to be waiting for potentially the Knicks if they can get it done tonight, or they got 3 cracks at it to get it done with that 3-1 lead. They're 5-1 to win the championship as the second betting choice behind OKC, who are still odds on at minus $1.20. I mean, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals is one thing, and they haven't done that in forever. And, it's been back since the John Starks days when they got to the finals against Houston and Hakeem Olajuwon. That's how long ago that's been. Is New York really fancying themselves as 5-1? Is that a playable number for you to actually win the NBA title?
Prior to the game the other night, Phils, they were 20-1. That's how much this has shifted with the Tatum injury and them going up 3-1. I couldn't play it at 5-1. You want to know why? My rule on futures is I only print a future slip if I think the number is never going to exist again. That's my baseline motto. If I think I'm never going to see this number again and I'm interested, I'll print the slip. There's a very real chance I think the Knicks could lose tonight, have to go back home and get the W in game 6. And then you may be as soon as tomorrow, you may be able to get a better number than 5-1 for the Knicks to win the finals. And if they get to the finals and go down 1-0, I think you're still going to be able to get a fair enough price where you don't have to figure out they're going to be there, who's going to be around. So I would pause on the Knicks at 5-1 and even wait until tomorrow, see what the number can be if they do lose tonight.
We mentioned, Sean, we know one team that is into the Final Four, proverbial Final Four here in the NBA postseason. The Indiana Pacers dispatching of a team in Cleveland that it's going to be a long summer for this group, considering the decisions they have to make internally. What will this team look like moving forward? But as far as Indiana goes, the Cavaliers were 36-5 against home opponents, not named the Indiana Pacers. They're 0-5 against Indiana, and it felt like the Pacers just pushed them around, out-physicaled them, and mentally were tougher. And Kenny Atkinson kind of said that. Your outlook now for the Pacers, and by the way, for you Indianapolis 500 fans, holy hell, is your Sunday going to be crazy for Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. You get the Indianapolis 500 during the day, and then at 8 o'clock you get Game 3 of whoever it will be, Knicks Celtics against the Pacers there at Bankers Life.
Yeah, the Pacers are a really good team. They're deep, and I think they're ahead of the curve on this new CBA, right? So the second apron, teams are handcuffed, and if the Pacers are out in front, the Boston Celtics are behind because they're going to have to figure out a way to maneuver all those dollars. But they have ahead of the snake guy and Halliburton, and then they're just surrounded by tons of really good players. Siakam, Turner, then you start getting into the bench. If you like TJ McConnell or not, big impact guy, Nembhard, Nesmith, like they're deep, right? Now, let's not forget, the Pacers were down, if they play the Knicks, 2-0 in that series to start. OG Anunoby pulls the hammy. He goes down. The Knicks lose 4 in a row. They absolutely beat up the Cavs. They're not going to be able to do that to the New York Knicks. And that's kind of been the Cavs' MO. To go back a few years ago, if you remember Jalen Brunson's first playoff run with the Knicks, they were the underdogs, the New York Knicks, and they beat up the Cavs with Jared Allen and Mobley. They wanted nothing to do with those boys inside. I thought they had graduated from that and they were going to be a lot tougher. I know they were dealing with some injuries, so it is a little tough with Garland and Mobley missing games. But, yeah, they did get beat up. But the Pacers aren't going to be able to do that to the Knicks. The reason the Knicks are the favorite is because they were down 2-0, and when they were at full strength for the most part, the Knicks had the upper hand. I think that's the same that would be the same way the series would play out if they do meet in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Sean, a mutual friend of ours, Tim Doyle, I'd always tell Timmy, you can't ask two-part questions, right? But I'm going to break my rule for this one when it comes to the Denver Nuggets out west. Down 3-2, and they've given away 2 fourth-quarter leads here, or this series could one be over, or at least it could be 3-2 the other way for Denver. So my two-part question for you is, would Michael Malone have made a difference on the bench in the fourth quarter of those games, and are they still live in this series against OKC at plus 750?
I think so. I think Mike Malone and his experience has to help with nuanced things. These even when we're talking about betting markets and just the playoffs overall, everything is so nuanced. We're splitting hairs when we're talking about decisions being made in games. His decision last night to play Jokic the full 12 down the stretch in the fourth didn't work. They ran out of gas. 1 for 14, I believe. Everyone outside of Jokic and Murray from the floor in the fourth quarter. They got no help from everybody else. The last points outside of Jokic and Murray was Westbrook from the free throw line with 11 and a half left in the fourth quarter. So it was either coming from those two dudes or nobody. So, yeah, I would say Malone would have helped with some nuance, and I think the series is done. They were able to steal the games that they did, in my opinion. So the Thunder back, ready to go. And the last 2 games, they've answered the concerns that people have had about the Thunder. Can they close tight games late? Can Lou Dort show up in the fourth quarter and knock down shots? He went from not playing to knocking down shots. Salute Lou Dort, man. The confidence stayed there. He kept firing. He kept them in the game. SGA shut the door late. So I like the Thunder to win the West. I've been screaming that from the mountaintops all year long. So I think they can get it done and head to the finals.
Got about a minute left here, Sean. The other game tonight, Warriors and Timberwolves. Last stand for Golden State here. I jumped on them on the money line, plus 450. It's down to plus 390. I know you have a lean or a play on them, particularly in the first half.
Yeah, let me get you guys a play for tonight. I'm going to go with the Warriors first half, plus 6.5. First things first, the half total is 98.5. Points have been coming at a premium, and you're going to give me 2 full possessions and a hook. I have to take it. Now, the only game the Warriors have lost the first half was game 2, and that was the first full game without Steph Curry on the floor. Game 1, Warriors are up 13 at half. Game 3, they're up 2. Game 4, they're up 2. You just need to avoid the inevitable Anthony Edwards explosion. Ant Edwards, fellas, in the first half, he's only averaging 7.5 points. In the second half, 19.8. So everything in the second half for Ant Edwards goes up. Minutes, attempts, points. If you can avoid that first half, and I think everyone has the Warriors dead. They have no chance coming back in this series. I think they have a half of kick left in them. Jimmy Butler will show up as well. I'll take 6.5 points in the first 2 frames.
Sean, great stuff as always. If the Knicks do win tonight, you going to go out and celebrate in the streets? What are you doing?
My girlfriend's family is here, so I gotta relax. So I'll wait for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Give a follow at Chicago Flow. Always enjoy the conversation here on the Progressive Guest Line. We're back with more in a moment.
Building a business may feel like a big jump, but OnDeck Small Business Loans can help keep you afloat. With lines of credit up to $100,000 and term loans up to $250,000, OnDeck lets you choose the loan that's right for your business. As a top-rated online small business lender, OnDeck's team of loan advisors can help you find the right business loan to fit your needs. Visit OnDeck.com for more information. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Great conversation with Sean Little in the last segment. And going to have more great conversations coming up here with Adam Burke and Wes Reynolds to round out hour number 3 today. We were talking about the NBA playoffs, by the way. If you've not checked out Profit X, you should do so because there's a new user sign-up offer right now. So you're going to get up to $200 in profit cash. It's available right now in 40 and more states here across the country. Use that promo code VSiN again. So when you download Profit X today, use that code. You're going to earn up to $200 in profit cash over the very first month. So again, you're going up against other people, not the sports books. That's the advantage you're going to get when you sign up with Profit X today. And we were talking about it with Sean here. As we get to our best bets, of course, they are presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And we were mentioning that he's not on the Knicks tonight against Boston. And Jensen, this is what I wanted to run by you here as we workshop this in real time. We mentioned the Knicks are 5-1 to win the NBA Finals now, and the favorites to win the East, even though Indiana has already advanced and will wait for the Knicks. And, oh, by the way, beat the Knicks last year in the playoffs to get to the Eastern Conference Finals a year ago. The Celtics are 30-1 to win the title. Now, I don't think that they can actually win the title. But Sean's logic was that you would only bet a future number if you did not think that number would exist tomorrow.
Sure.
If they somehow figure out a way to, and they got to figure it out quickly, how to play without Tatum, obviously not just for one game, they'd have to do it for 3 games against the Knicks. But Jensen, they've been clearly the better team with Tatum as 20-point favorites in 2 of the losses, and then a 14-point favorite in that third loss. Is there any glimmer of hope that the Celtics can overcome Tatum, not just tonight, but be playable either in the Eastern Conference and or the NBA Finals?
And the stock answer is no. I was just thinking, what would the series rollover price be?
Wow.
At this point right now, the Celtics are 4-1 to win the series. We would assume that they would be. Would they be a slight favorite against
yes,
the Pacers?
I think they would be, and that's what I wanted to get to.
Okay.
That if they figure it out in these 3 games against the Knicks, that's going to change the betting perception of Boston. Again, look, we're going A to Z, but we're trying to figure out if these numbers are playable today before what we're workshopping, if it were to happen. We're not saying it's going to happen. We're saying that if they did somehow reverse this script with 2 of the final 3, by the way, in Boston, potentially, right? Tonight, they'd have to win the Game 6 in New York, but then all the pressure would be back in the Knicks in a Game 7 if it got back to Beantown. Then all of a sudden, I do think the Celtics would flip to favorites against the Pacers in that series, because then you'd have a 3-game sample without Tatum, theoretically, and I think the betting market would say, oh, yeah, they still are. They're showing how good they are, the depth they have, even without Tatum. That's why I only think that if you want to take a real long shot on the Celtics, as Sean is alluding to, that he thinks they're going to beat the Knicks tonight, I would play the 30-1 to have the ticket in pocket if you really think tonight is not just a 1-game aberration. I'm not saying I'm going to bet it, but I'm saying if you were to look at the Celtics, actually tonight would be the night to make that long distance, fire the shot at 30-1 versus waiting to see, they look really good. They beat the Knicks by double digits tonight. All of a sudden, those numbers are going to come way down.
Yeah, and kind of similarly, the Warriors at 130-1. If you somehow feel they get it done tonight, I took a flyer on them, plus 450. One of my best bets, and that was more so hoping that the Steph Curry news would at least be a glimmer of hope. He's going to be out tonight, so they need a hope, a prayer, and then some, to beat Minnesota. But hey, that's the beauty of this game. We've seen plenty of teams that have had double-digit spreads as double-digit dogs and found a way to win outright. So not saying this will happen tonight. I took a flyer on it. But plus 450 is what I had, Dave. It's down to plus 390, so at least some money coming in there on the Warriors for a chance.
And again, I know that Sean believes it's over out west with OKC. They are now a $1.20 betting favorite to win the NBA championship, okay? But in that same line that we're talking about, now you're not even talking about injury. If you still think Jokic and or Jamal Murray is good enough, because as we mentioned, it was a 1-2 punch and that's it, right? Everybody else it was nothing in that fourth quarter. They've had leads in the fourth quarter. They are 25-1 to win the NBA title. And if they could, hold serve, even though the 4.5-point dogs tomorrow night at home to do so, I do think all the pressure would go back to OKC. If this gets back to Oklahoma City, not saying it will, but if it did, I do think all of that pressure would flip back to the young Thunder to close out the old champs in Denver. All of a sudden, 25-1 would not be a bad future number if you really wanted to take a stab at a long shot play. Not injury related, although Michael Porter Jr. does not look like the same guy with that shoulder clearly. 25-1 is the number right now for the extreme long shots to still win it in the NBA. Jensen, let's get to some of your plays that you do have on the board for tonight in Major League Baseball. Again, if you've missed any part of the show, you can always watch on demand when you're a VSiN Pro subscriber at VSiN.com with Wednesday and with the Daily Diamond. What do you like so far on the Major League Baseball slate?
Yeah, for people that did miss Daily Diamond today, we leaned towards Matt Chapman, 2 or more total bases, Wilmer Flores to record an RBI. That's a matinee out west today. Giants and Diamondbacks finishing up that series. Also, Aaron Judge, 3 or more total bases. Good matchup for him day game wise. I believe Luis Castillo, the man on the mound there for Seattle in that one against Will Warren. Also going Stephen Kwan, 2 or more. Hits, runs, RBI. Logan Henderson going to get the call up for Milwaukee as the Guardians. They were $1.42 favorite. Dave, that is now down to $1.35. So some money coming in on the Brew Crew there. It's been a low-scoring series thus far, kind of been blah. Total of 8 right now, shaded a bit to the over. I would assume this is the best weather day thus far here in Northeast Ohio, so potentially some runs there. But I do like Kwani to continue a pretty quick start out of the gate. Also, for people that missed with Wednesday, we're laddering Bryce Harper, total bases today. The matchup against Eric Fetty, he's 11 for 22 with 7 extra base hits in his career against Eric Fetty. Reminder to people, that is game 1, day-night doubleheader at Citizens Bank because they got rained out yesterday. Eric Fetty for the Cardinals getting that game 1 start against Jesus Luzardo. You took taking a flyer shot here in the Warriors at plus 450 to beat the Timberwolves tonight. Also, some plays in the ice. And by the way, one more play tomorrow. You're on the under in the Nuggets and the Thunder game there, under 218. And back to my bigger point there, if you wanted to take the 25-1 in Denver, if they were to somehow come back and beat OKC, they would be favorites against Minnesota. I'd kind of like that Boston theory. If they were to figure it out, that's where you'd get the value in that number. But you do like the under tomorrow night in that one at 218. But tonight on ice, it's always dangerous to play those unders in an Oilers game, but Skinner looked great. 3-0 shutout against the Golden Knights last time out. You're going to play that under again tonight? Yep, can still get it at plus $1.10 on DraftKings. I believe you can still get it at Circa, also plus $1.10. I do feel the netminders kind of tighten it up here a little bit. I'm not sure if I have a lean one way or another who wins, but again, we know Vegas up against it here, needing a win to prolong this series. But I do feel goals could be at a premium tonight for the first time in this series, so do like the under 6.5.
That's where it's sitting right now. And then tomorrow night, you've already got action on this one. You're gonna trust that you get the good Hallebuck at home against the Stars. Is that where we're leaning there?
Yes, this is the ping pong, right? He can't do a damn thing right on the road,
No,
and that's
can't.
fine because we've been riding the Stars puck lines, and they've been very profitable for us at home. But we go back there, and again, talking about a team up against it, we know that Winnipeg is going to have, or at least going to need the very best effort there from Connor Hallebuck. And so a win to be able to prolong that series, I think they get it done. This is a nice price, too, plus 220, both at DraftKings and Circa on the puck line for the Jets tomorrow night. And again, in kind of the same vein we're talking about with the NBA, if you think one of these teams can get off the deck, I don't know if it's going to happen in the East. Washington is now 25-1 to get off the deck and win that. In the West, VGK's 14-1. Just going to throw that out. 14-1. If they can hold serve today, could be very interesting if they can get this thing back there. I know it's a long road to hoe down 3-1 right now, but VGK 14-1. Winnipeg is 16-1. Those are the two longer shots right now out west. Again, if you do not have the GBank Visa Signature Card, you should get it today. Most credit cards are going to treat those sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances. That's even when you put your own money in the card. GBank's going to treat those as purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees right then and there on gaming transactions. Also with GBank, you're going to earn 1% cashback rewards on all of your eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions, 2% cashback rewards on all eligible purchases. Apply now, VSiN.com/GBank.
That's VSiN.com/GBank. It's all there for you when you become and get that GBank Visa signature card. The schedule release is still dripping out here. We're getting finalized there. Again, all the shows today here in the network will be covering those as they do become official in those changing numbers too. So we'll have all of that for you tomorrow when we get there. But when we come back, Adam Burke's going to join the program. Let's talk some Major League Baseball, see what Adam's got on his card and beyond. That's next here on VSiN By The Books.
VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here. You're going to have Wes Reynolds join us in the next segment, talk all things PGA Championship, as can't wait for the second major of the year to get underway. But also, you can check out Edge Boost. If you have not done so already, it's the first ever bank account that's built just for bettors. It ensures all your gambling transactions are always approved here. No usage fees, no minimums. Earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all of your betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet. Use the promo code BOOK, the title of this show. Deposit $25, Edge Boost going to match that deposit right then and there. That's edgeboost.bet. Without further ado, let's bring in, and always a good conversation, with Adam Burke. You can follow him on X as I do at Skating Tripods. Joins us now here on the Progressive Guest Line, our managing editor. And Adam, we have to start off with asking the obligatory, are all they talking about is still Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland? They're not talking about the Guardians and how good they've been playing. We don't want to talk about the Cavaliers. Have they fully shifted now to all things Shedeur and the Browns?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with the NFL schedule release here today. I mean, that's all they're going to be talking about for the next, 3.5 months until the season actually starts. Look, I mean, the Guardians they have a lot of wins. They're playing well. I think Jensen and I can both agree that they're not that good of a baseball team, but it's a Browns town. It always will be. 0-17, 10-7, doesn't matter. It's a Browns town.
Browns 7-point dogs overseas right now in the one game we know against the Vikings as they will play in London there. But we digress. Let us talk about what we have here on a longer MLB slate. Start with the Rays here, who almost gave it up in the ninth inning. It has been kind of a topsy-turvy year for the Blue Jays. Jeff Hoffman had the lead, gives up the grand slam, the Junior Caminero, and then Pete Fairbanks had a little heart attack hotel there. Rays, Blue Jays for you today. Pretty good matchup. Pepio and also Chris Bassett. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, boy, how good would Junior Caminero look in the Guardians lineup right now? But look, this is a really interesting handicap for me here because you look at Ryan Pepio and he's figuring it out a little bit here. He had a stretch where he gave up 8 home runs in 4 starts, but his last 3 starts have been good, 4 runs on 10 hits. And this is a guy that I expected to struggle with the Rays going outside. He's a guy that throws a lot of strikes. He's a guy that likes to pitch up in the zone, as most Rays do, working that fastball up in the upper half of the zone. And the ball's going to fly much better playing at Steinbrenner Field than it will at Tropicana Field. So I'm not really surprised that Pepio has struggled here early on in the season, but it does seem like he's adjusted. It does seem like the Rays have made some adjustments with him, and he gets another road start here. He's been good in his last 2 road starts, good home start against the Phillies. I think this is a pretty decent spot for him here. And while Chris Bassett has good numbers, 3.35 ERA, 3.32 FIP, he's given up at least 4 runs in 3 of his last 4 starts, 3 runs in the other one. He's been bit by the regression monster here. And this Blue Jays bullpen is kind of a mess night in and night out. They were pretty bad on their last road trip. Hoffman got in Anaheim. Of course, got last night by Caminero, as you mentioned. So I like the Rays here, getting a pretty juicy plus money price in this one because keep in mind, Toronto's offense started out really good. They really haven't been that great the last several weeks. So I think the Rays are a very live dog here tonight.
Cubs are big favorites today on the north side of Chicago. Jamison Tyon's going to be on the bump there, minus 225 against the Fightin' Fish. But if it's not a play against the Cubs, could it be a play maybe on a surprising starter today for Miami?
Yeah, so I think Ryan Weathers really, really figured it out last year. Remember, this is a guy who debuted at 21, so he got really fast-tracked to the big leagues as a high school arm. He was a high first-round pick in 2018, but that's a pretty fast development path for a high school arm like Weathers. So he goes up to the big leagues with San Diego. I think the game kind of overwhelmed him a little bit. Then, of course, starts out this year with an injury, much to my chagrin, but he was a guy I wrote about way back in our MLB preseason guide where I was doing all my team previews. Ryan Weathers was my Miami Marlins player to watch. I expected him to take a leap this season, and I think that starts here today. I love over 3.5 strikeouts for him. Now, his pitch count is a bit of a question. I think he'll probably only be around 65, 70 pitches here in this start, give or take. But in his last rehab start in AAA, averaged 97.8 miles per hour with the fastball. Velocity was up across the board. This is a guy that has good stuff to begin with, just hasn't been able to stay healthy enough to really put it all together. I don't know if he'll stay healthy enough this season, but I'm going to try to ride him in any way that I can until he gets hurt again, because it's probably inevitable. But I think over 3.5 strikeouts for him. DraftKings dealing a reduced juice price on that, minus 105. I think he's going to come out there, be amped up in his first major league start of the season, be throwing hard, snap off some breaking balls. I like over 3.5 strikeouts for Ryan Weathers and the Marlins.
All right, we will look towards the Javi Baez renaissance one of two ways. For those of us in Cleveland, he was free air conditioning with the Cubs in 2016, so we pay him no mind. All of a sudden, he's figured out how to hit again. 2 home runs yesterday, including 3-run walk-off against the Red Sox in extra innings. The Red Sox, come on back. We give you Tarek Skubal, who's been unbelievable overall this year. I targeted this game as well in Whiff Wednesday, backing a Tarek Skubal parlay of 7 or more strikeouts and no walks for about plus 256. You're considering the Red Sox angle here, though, Berkey. What do you have for us on that one?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, Hunter Dobbins has been pretty good here so far for the Red Sox. 2.78 ERA, 2.88 expected ERA, FIP in the 330s. A guy who doesn't walk a whole lot of people, at least hasn't walked a whole lot of people at the big league level. Now, when you look at his minor league statistics, I think there are reasons to be concerned about that super low walk rate because he walked a lot of guys in the minors. But you could probably attest to this better than I can, but the catcher defense is so much better at the big league level that those guys will help you out, will limit some of those free passes. Also, guys in the minor leagues may not swing at stuff that they don't really know what's coming. Big leaguers may foul stuff off, may give you some swings and misses every now and then because they just have a better feel for where everything's going. So I think Dobbins is a guy that probably benefits a little bit from getting called up to the big leagues. I get it. Tarek Skubal's awesome. There's no question about that. But I think Dobbins can at least keep this one close. So this is one where maybe I'm looking like at the plus 1.5 for Boston, at the minus 120 price or so, something like that, looking for them to keep this game close, maybe have a chance in the late innings. Both bullpens got gassed yesterday. So it's going to be a high variance ending to this game. And if Dobbins can keep it close, Boston has a chance to pull it out. But I will say, I texted our buddy Patrick Maher, who's a Detroit guy. I said, look, if Javi Baez is hitting walk-off tanks, this just might be Detroit's year.
Well, they are now moved, obviously, to odds on to win that division here, minus $1.40. Guardians at plus 425, Kansas City at plus 475. Out of the 6 divisions, they're odds on in 5 of the 6. The only one that's not is the AL West. Seattle's still plus money as the Faves at plus $1.40, but you can get the Rangers at 215. You get the Astros now. They look like they've got some life at plus 220. Then the long shots, the A's at 16-1, Angels at 55-1. Out of those 5 plus money prices out west, Adam Burke, if I made you spend it on May 14th, where would you put it?
Well, as much as I love the Mariners, as much as I want to love the Mariners, I don't know how things look going forward for George Kirby and Logan Gilbert. And I mean, Emerson Hancock's been really good. I think Logan Evans could be decent too while filling in for Gilbert. But I don't know that this offense is going to keep up their current pace. I would have to look at the Rangers. Jonathan Von Tobel wrote a really good piece Tuesday morning for us over at VSiN.com or Monday morning about the Rangers and why now was a pretty good time to buy the Rangers. There was a good price out there at BetMGM. They've got great starting pitching. Hopefully Eovaldi and DeGrom stay healthy. The offense is better than it's been so far. They've got a lot of guys with track records. I know Corey Seager's on the IL now, but I think that the Rangers are probably the most dangerous team in that division. The Astros will probably find a way to play better, but I think right now the value bet, especially if you shop around, would be Texas.
Yeah, Berkey, I gave out last week when Super Dave was down in Virginia Beach of the Rangers 9-1 right now in the American League to win the pennant. Also a flyer on the Twins at 20-1. They're down to 15-1 because I do still feel the American League very wide open. Last minute or so with you, Pedro Martinez yesterday saying he's calling it now. Tigers, Padres, the World Series matchup. If you want that exacta on DraftKings, it pays over 67-1. What do you think about that take?
Well, I mean, I hate saying this as a Guardians fan, but I mean, Detroit, some of their young hitters are getting a lot better. Their starting pitching is obviously incredible. They'll find bullpen arms at the deadline if they need to. And I think they should have a home series in the playoffs, at least one, because it does appear they're going to win the Central Division. Man, I love this Padres team, but I just don't know. That National League is so stacked. Whoever comes out of the East, and it'll be multiple teams that come out of the East, the Dodgers, multiple teams out of the West, the Cubs are pretty good. It's a really tough path for San Diego. I think the American League is definitely there for the taking. I don't hate the Tigers winning the AL. I really, truly don't.
I think I was on San Diego in 1984 in that series against Kirk Gibson and the Tigers. I'm still scarred from that. Adam, great stuff as always, my friend. And very quickly, Pete Rose, now that the pathway's been set, do you think he does get in the Hall of Fame? The writers still have to vote on this.
I mean, I don't know. Matt Humans asked me the same question yesterday. The numbers are obviously there. The stats are obviously there. But the character clause, which is very subjective, is something that, a lot of the Baseball Hall of Fame voters really hold close.
Gotta go. Back with Wes Reynolds next.
Building a business may feel like a big jump, but OnDeck Small Business Loans can help keep you afloat. With lines of credit up to $100,000 and term loans up to $250,000, OnDeck lets you choose the loan that's right for your business. As a top-rated online small business lender, OnDeck's team of loan advisors can help you find the right business loan to fit your needs. Visit OnDeck.com for more information. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis. Great conversation with Adam Burke in the last segment. We're going to talk a lot of golf. By the way, this time tomorrow, we will be well underway in the first round of the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, which will be a lot of fun for us, certainly in those first round markets here. You saw what the PGA Championship is doing, right? They've pitted world number 1, 2, and 3 in the same group. And that does seem cool on the surface, right? And they've done this before. But the old tradition of the PGA Championship, because it used to be the last major of the year, is they would pair the previous 3 winners of the earlier majors together in the first 2 days. Do you like the old tradition of that, or do you like this new one of now we'll just go world number 1, 2, and 3?
I'm fine with it, and it makes life easier because a lot of guys that we'll probably have investments in are going to be one-stop shop, right? So I was texting back and forth with a great friend of our program, Jeff Seeley, on just a couple of the wild ways to increase odds for some of these payouts. So we did a Bryson DeChambeau to win. We did a Pacers to win the East. We did an Indiana Fever to win the WNBA, and right now, I'm sure Gil Alexander hot on it. Carlos Alcaraz against Jack Draper, just an Alcaraz money line. That is going to pay about 128-1. So just a little bonus bet on DraftKings. Just threw it in there. So
I mean,
not bad.
I do like the fact that they're going to do this. The only thing I would push back a little bit is say, well, that's not going to include the Live Golf guys. There's no way it can because of the world ranking points, right? So it does not give. Even though I think we look at it in the betting market and we say, well, that's Bryson DeChambeau because he's the third betting choice here. But he's not the third best player in the world for the ranking system here, so you're not going to get him with Scotty and Rory in that group. I look at that, too, and I go, with Rory and Scotty now facing off, in that group, that power group to begin, I wonder who that favors, if either one of those guys. Because normally you would think, if I'm Rory or Scotty, I might not want to see the other guy until it's Sunday. But now you're going to get them no matter what on Thursday and Friday. Is that an iron sharpens iron scenario? Or do you think it's almost like, man, I might try to knock you out here in the first 2 days?
Yeah, I for each guy, you just wonder if you're just focused on your game early and just making sure you're in rhythm, you're hitting the shots you want to hit, cadence, that whole thing. I mean, these guys are used to playing with a lot of attention on them, and I think they're probably just happy they're not with Cantlay for pace of play. They're probably just, hey, we're playing ready golf here. If we're all playing well, we're all playing well. That's all we care about.
I have a ticket on Patrick Cantlay this week at 39-1. He did make my card, and I don't feel great about it. But he is playing in better form. But that's a real thing, by the way. We kid about it, that pace of play. But I think you're right. He's drifted to 45-1. I could have just waited and got a better number on slow play Cantlay. So he's already down to 45-1. So some of these numbers have still moved. I'm surprised that you can go right now to DraftKings and get X-Man, somebody we talked about with Tyler Fulgham early in the program, at 22-1. And I know that Kelly Bidwin's got a ticket on Justin Thomas. And check out the Long Shots pod, by the way, if you haven't done so already, with Matt Brown and Wes Reynolds. They've got their picks out. But at 22-1, you can still get those numbers. That does surprise me a little bit, Jensen. I think those are playable numbers if you like the X-Man and or JT to get it done this week. 22-1, those feel like fair prices.
No doubt. I will definitely have Xander in a few golf pools that I'll be in. My plays as well. I know we touched on them a bit yesterday. A couple of the outrights here. You and I are very high on JT, as I know we talked with Kelly Bidlin the last day or two. Feel that he's in prime position. I know, just selfishly, going back to the well with Colin Morikawa, I'll probably get hurt again just for spending good hard American dollars on him. But a couple long shots: Lowry, Henley, Cam Smith. Pretty well-rounded card. Feel good about it.
The aforementioned long shots. One of those co-hosts is Wes Reynolds. Joins us now here in the Progressive Guest Line. Give Wes a follow on X at Wes Reynolds and the number 1. Wes, great to catch up with you here before we get to the on the eve here of the PGA Championship down there in Quail Hollow. I do feel like all the oxygen has gone to Rory McIlroy, and I can understand why. I don't feel like anybody's talking about Scotty very much at plus 425. He still is the betting favorite there. Is this the rightful conversation should be more dialed towards Roars and not Scotty this week?
Well, I actually think Scotty deserves to be the favorite here, even though Rory has won here 4 times that you guys were talking about. But I think Scotty, he probably comes into better shape in this event than he did certainly in the Masters, because he was struggling a little bit, just kind of trying to get back into form, had the injury earlier this year, so got to a slower start. And it finally seemed like the year for Rory at the Masters, whereas now Rory has accomplished that career Grand Slam. He's had to do all the media and all the stuff and have the heavy schedule coming into the PGA where, yeah, Scotty probably is almost like the quote-unquote contrarian favorite, if you will. And I think, the rightful shorter price, but a guy that's been getting a lot of play and got some of my play is the one right below them, and that's Bryson DeChambeau, who he was the first one I clicked on this event. I thought, okay, this is kind of the one where I think he's going to show out. It's a long course. He's got that scar tissue from losing the Masters to Rory in that final group, and it clearly got to him a little bit. But now he went over on Live. He won in Korea, so he's got at least a little bit of confidence coming in. And I thought Bryson DeChambeau was really the guy this week of the big 3 for me.
Wes, first of all, congratulations, Pacers and Racers for you officially now on May 25th. And again, to kind of go along with Bryson, I was telling Dave before we brought you on, I did a little parlay with our good friend of the program, Jeff Seeley. I did a little Pacers to win the East and the Fever to win the WNBA title, parlayed with Bryson to get an astronomically higher number on that. So I'm glad that we line up on that. Just to go along with your Pacers idea, maybe a team that was overlooked, if you will, in the grand scheme. Is there a golfer or two on your card that you think is a bit overlooked here, but you love the price for what you get them at?
Yeah, a little bit here. Ludwig Aubert at 28-1, who everybody was rushing to bet at the Masters last month after he won at the Genesis at Torrey Pines back in February. Finished triple bogey on Sunday. He was third place, going to be a shot out of the playoff, and he ends up finishing seventh. And then he had a couple events in April where finished down the board. That the Heritage at the Truist last week, but proven on lengthy courses is evident by that win at Torrey Pines earlier this year. So maybe Ludwig is like the 4 seed, like the Pacers were in the Eastern Conference, and heading to the finals where I'm personally hopeful that they get the New York Knicks.
Oh, I like that. I wonder who the equivalent of that would be here for the PGA. Wes, very quickly, because we talked a little bit about Hunter Mahan had some interesting comments about this golf course, compared it to a Kardashian, that maybe there's not a lot of soul in the course. It's kind of a big, dumb course, and you just hit it all around. You don't have to think about it. That coupled with the rain, and massive amounts of rain that they've gotten, does that change it? Because it does feel like for a big golf course, it could play even bigger with all that rain.
Yeah, Dave, it might change a little bit of the rollout where it's not as firm in these fairways. But in terms of the greens, I think the greens are going to be still really fast over the weekend. They're going to be 13 on the stimp meter because they have that sub-air system under these greens at Quail Hollow. So they can dry them out. So the greens, I still think, are going to be very firm. You just might not get the roll. So that means you're going to want to look a little bit at the driving distance, I think, a little bit this week. Doesn't have to be a bomber, but you're going to have to get it out there a little bit. Looking at carry distance, there's some sites that give that stat, including PGAtour.com, and that's what you're going to want to look at because you got some really big long holes here, and you've also got a couple sharp par fours that are about 350 yards. So some of these guys are going to be like, okay, we're going to dare you to drive the green, and these guys are going to take them up on that dare.
Wes, about 30 seconds left with you, brother. Who is in contention there on Sunday, and who do you have winning it this weekend?
Yeah, I think Bryson is going to be there. I think Xander is starting to peak a little bit at the right time. I'd be shocked if the two favorites, Scotty and Rory, aren't there. And then a couple dark horses. Let's look at Victor Hovland and Joaquin Niemann.
Oh.
Niemann's never got it done in a major, never had a top 10 in 23 career majors. Guy's won 4 times around the world the last 5 months. I think this is where the man from Chile finally shows up and contends in a major.
30-1 you get right now on Jocko to get that done. 30 seconds, Wes. When you hear those comparisons and Hunter calling out the Kardashians, is this like a Queen Bee situation? Will Kim and the Kardashians clap back at Hunter Mahan?
I think that they will. I think that this course will play relatively difficult, like maybe around 10, 11 under par is the winner. I don't think it's going to be 20 under like Valhalla was last year.
Again, the official quote, Quail Hollow is like a Kardashian. Very modern, beautiful, and well-kept, but it lacks a soul or character. Ouch! Hunter Mahan. Wes, you're the best. We appreciate you, my man.
You bet, guys. Thank you.
There he is. Give him a follow on X at Wes Reynolds, the #1. What'd you make of that, Jensen? Shots fired from Hunter Mahan at Quail Hollow. Very interesting comparison. We'll talk a lot of golf tomorrow, and I'm sure they'll do it next year on A Numbers Game with Gil Alexander and Kelly Bidley.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.